I was ministering in Southern California, and there was a woman in the crowd that looked very familiar to me. I thought I knew her. I invited her to stand, and I said, "Have you and I met before?" And she said, "No, we've never met before." I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Your name's not Deborah?" And she said, "My name is Debbie, but I promise you that we have never met before." Well, I realized right there that I had just stepped into a word of knowledge. What is a word of knowledge? It's actually a gift from the Holy Spirit. It's mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, and it's where he supernaturally gives you a fact about a person, something in their present, something in their past. And I have found that words of knowledge really help people to know that God knows them, and it also builds their faith to receive a prophetic word. And so I gave a prophetic word to Debbie, and then I asked if there was somebody in that crowd by the name of Maria, because that word got dropped into my heart. Well, a Caucasian woman raised her hand and she said, "My name is Maria." And I looked at her and I said, "No." I said, "I'm looking for a Hispanic Maria." And well, everybody said, "Hey, that Maria is actually watching the children." And so they went and they got her, and I told her that the Lord gave me her name, and then I gave her a prophetic word. Well, later, there was a man also in the crowd, and I could have sworn I had a conversation with him earlier, which later, when I thought about it, didn't make any sense at all, because how would I have had that conversation? But basically what I thought had happened is that I had a conversation with him where he told me everything about his lower back, the pain, what happened, why he was struggling with that part of his body, and on and on. Well, as I approached him, I asked him, I said, "Did you and I ever have a conversation about what's going on with your back?" And he looked at me and he said, "No, we've never had a conversation about that, but it's all true." And so faith was built in him so that I can pray for him to receive healing. You see, the word of knowledge is a really, really important gift for us to flow in. A lot of people are intimidated by it. They think it's like trying to pass a test. They get really, really nervous when we talk about the word of knowledge. But I want to assure you that if you flow or are fluent in any of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, then you can also step into the word of knowledge as well. The way this woke up in my life is I've been training prophetic people for years, actually for a couple decades. And I remember one particular Sunday at an altar call, my teams and myself, we were ministering. Well, there was a couple that was there, a husband and a wife, and they were ministers, and the Holy Spirit gave me a prophetic word. Now, we were really fluent in the prophetic, and we had faith for the prophetic, and the prophetic words flowed very easily. And so I began to share with them that the Lord is giving them a business, and that it's going to be another stream of income for their life, and that they need to seek the Lord about this, because he's going to wake this up in their world, and it's going to be very, very good for them. Well, I could see all over their face that they did not receive my prophetic word. They didn't believe the prophetic word. And well, what am I supposed to do with that? I just had to let it be. As I walked away from the situation, I heard in the air, I heard a voice. I am not joking. That's exactly what happened. I heard a voice say this. It said, "You should have given them a word of knowledge, and then they would have believed you." Well, I realized right there that they needed their faith to be built by something like a word of knowledge, and then they would have received the prophetic word. And so from that point on, I began to seek the Holy Spirit for the gift of words of knowledge. And it's something that has grown in my life over the years. These topics and more are the kinds of things that I teach my Australian and New Zealand prophetic company, as well as my mentorship. I want to invite you to join. Go to jennifereivaz.com.